This is George Dionne of the Rock is George podcast, and this is a KNAC.com exclusive interview with guitarist and vocalist Marco Pastorino of the Italian power metal act Temperance. If I knew absolutely nothing about Temperance, how would you describe the band's music to me?
So basically, it's a sort of mix between, I would say, melodic metal, but with tons of different influences, from AOR till now symphonic stuff, epic stuff, big and catchy melodies. I can go on for 1 hour, I think.
You formed this project in 2013. Bunch of veteran musicians joined you at the start and still continue to employ veteran musicians throughout the band's career. How did everything all come together in 2013?
So it was quite cool because back then we decided to start this band with some of the best friends of my life back then. And Luca, the bass player, is still with us and is still one of my best friends, luckily. And I'm so grateful to have this guy in the band, not just because he's a fantastic bass player, fantastic musician, but he's one of the best person I met in my life. So I'm very grateful for that. Back then, basically, we decided to start a melodic metal band with a female voice and also male voice, because I'm a guitar player, but also a singer. And just because me and the first drummer of the band, we are good friends, but we really enjoyed the time together just writing music. And then we started to write melodic metal stuff, and we thought, okay, I think we have to start a band. And that's it. Very, very easy.
How did you settle on the name Temperance?
This is a funny story because back then, I don't know why, but I was reading a sort of explanation of the Divine Comedy from Dante in English, just to learn some English skills in my vocabulary, in my glossary. And then this word came in the explanation of the Divine Comedy, and I was very impressed by the meaning also. It's a very cool way to explain also something in these very strange times, also back then, 10 years ago, but maybe nowadays even more, I think.
Temperance has a new album coming out on October 20th called Hermitage, DARUMA'S Eyes Part 2 through Napalm Records. Before we get into the music aspect of the album, you have a brand new female vocalist, KRISTIN Starkley. She is a opera singer, vocal coach from New York City. How did you end up recruiting KRISTIN?
I met KRISTIN the very first time 4 years ago in Miami for the metal cruise 70,000 tons of metal. We had a great time there with Twilight Force guys and other friends here and there, and we were in touch for a while. And then 1 year ago, when our previous singer decided to leave the band, I saw a video from KRISTIN singing a Beast in Black track, Cry Out of a Hero. And then I thought, okay, I think she's the perfect singer for Temperance. Then I called her and we decided to try. First of all, we did tons of shows this year at the beginning of 23. And then we recorded an album together. First of all, I have to say, she's probably the best singer I ever met in my life. She's extremely talented. But now, after more than 50 shows together, I can say she's a good friend of mine. And we are having tons of fun on and off stage. Every day we are in touch. I mean, she lives in Europe. She's from New York, but she lives in Sweden. But we are having tons of fun together, and it's very cool. I really think this is the best Temperance lineup ever, honestly.
The latest album, Hermitage, is this is a concept album. It's sort of an interesting little concept in where time travel is involved and our hero goes through some adventures in the story. So do you want to kind of expand on what the concept is?
Sure. So basically, Hermitage is a sort of full story based on time travel, as you said, with different feelings and the fight between these two brothers, two of the main characters of the story, Hannigan, alias me, the villain of the story, and AYREON, alias KRISTIN Starkley. But the real main character of the story is this guy called Victor from New York. This guy is not completely satisfied about his life. That's the reason why he traveled the world and he reached Japan, Tokyo, and to try to find himself there. But when he reached Tokyo, in the temple of Asakusa, and this is a real temple in Tokyo, he found this very small doll called Daruma. And when he touched this doll, he traveled the world. He traveled the universe, actually, because he traveled into another dimension and a fantastic world called Hermitage. And in this place, he will meet new friends, tons of things will happen, and this guy finally will change his destiny.
You actually have a literal book that goes along with this story. It's not just the music portion, right?
No, exactly. I wrote a complete story. It's a short book, but yes, we just released this one. We started to ship this one, I think, since 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we thought it was a very cool idea also to try to release the book because the album is taken from the story I wrote. So we decided to print the book as well.
Now, you're obviously a well-read person. You mentioned Dante's Inferno, which is not exactly easy reading, and you've crafted this story. Are there authors or particular books that kind of inspire you to be a storyteller as well?
Honestly, I think this one is easier than the Divine Comedy. Luckily, also because the Divine Comedy is quite difficult. I don't know. I just had an interview with another American guy, and I have no answer for this one. This guy told me about Gulliver Travels. No, probably I was inspired by maybe some movies, but not books in particular, I have to say, because I really love books. But in the last year, unfortunately, I had not tons of time to read new books. Probably some movies, but I have to say this album is a sort of explanation of our actual time, because this guy, this main character Victor, is not very satisfied about his life, and how many people nowadays, especially after the pandemic, are not satisfied about their proper life. Tons of people out there.
Why is this called Part 2?
Very easy, because on 2018, in the album called Of Jupiter and Moons, the last track of the album is DARUMA'S EYES Part 1. Because we're supposed to release this track with the entire story back then, but for sure, during the songwriting session for the lyrics, we thought, okay, too much information to put in just in one single track. I mean, it's a complete story in one track, impossible. So that's the reason why we call this one DARUMA'S EYES Part 1. And basically, in this track, it's just a sort of explanation of the meaning of the Daruma in the Japanese culture, this very small doll. But then I had already the story in my mind, and I promised to myself sooner or later we'll be able to release a proper concept, because I'm a big fan of concept album like Queensryche, Savatage, stuff like that. Luckily, Napalm gave us the chance to do it, and I'm quite satisfied about the final result, honestly.
You've released 3 songs ahead of the album: Drama, No Return, Darkness is Just a Drawing. My favorite song, by the way, Darkness is Just a Drawing. Is it tough?
Cool. Thank you.
Is it tough releasing singles when you have a full story album here that you're only taking pieces of the story and presenting them?
Very difficult, I have to say. But at the same time, Daruma was quite natural, because this is the opening track of the album. This is a sort of introduction to the story of the album. Then No Return, we are just at the beginning of the story, because No Return is the song number 5. And then with this last single, Darkness is Just a Drawing, we are totally into the story because this is the song number 9. But yes, it was very difficult because I really love a couple of tracks. I love every track of the album for sure, but there are a couple of tracks I love even more. But a single, I don't know, because A Hero Reborn is a long track, 6 minutes long, and for a single nowadays quite difficult, also for a video clip. And probably my second favorite track of the album is the last track of the album, Cliff, but it's almost 8 minutes. So, but a single, it's too long. It's always difficult, but I mean, we're in touch with the label, with the management to decide all together what's the best choice to do to push the band. And let's see if it was the right choice or not, but I think so.
You got a lot of special guests on the album, most whose names I would have a hard time pronouncing, but obviously these are friends of yours in the music industry.
Honestly, only Alessandro Conti from Twilight Force and Trick or Treat is one of my best friends in this business since 12 years at least. Fabienne Erni from ELUVEITIE and Lumishade. I mean, now, yes, I can call her friend, but she, in my opinion, she's one of the best female singer in the scene right now, and was the first option came to our mind for this album. About Laura Fella from FAUN, I was never a big fan of this band, FAUN from Germany, but then 1 year ago, I saw this band, and I was quite impressed by her performance. So I said, so Laura, I think we have to do something together. And last but not least, we already talked about Arian Lucasen from AYREON. Is just the narrator, but he gave us this tons of inspiration to write and record this album, because AYREON, that they used to do concept album, and we thought it was the perfect narrator for our first concept album ever.
The album was mixed and mastered by Simone Mularoni of DGM. You guys kind of have a long working relationship. I saw you used to work on releases back on the Frontiers label, so obviously he's someone you trusted to kind of have that second ear on this project.
He mixed the album, but I didn't produce the album, because I produced the album by myself, yes, but with Simone, during the years, I did tons of albums. The first 3 albums of Temperance were mixed by Simone. Then we did 3 albums with Jacob Benson from Denmark. But then for this album, we decided to change again and come back to our roots, basically. And I have to say, the team in this album, I mean, the artist did artwork. Giada Belviso, she's Italian. Simone Mularoni is Italian. Also, the video director, Andrea Falaschi from Death Threat Legacy, is Italian. Daniele Mazza, the orchestrator of the album, is Italian. So it's an Italian team.
Now, with all these Italians on the team, I thought you'd be on an Italian record label, probably Frontiers, but you're on Napalm Records. How did you end up signing with Napalm?
We signed with them for almost 5 years ago, but just because we did a couple of tours with some bands from Napalm, and then the Napalm crew came to see some shows, and seems like they like Temperance, so they offer a deal, and we are so happy to be part of this fantastic label.
Temperance recently wrapped up a European tour with Tarja, formerly of Nightwish. How did those shows go? I assume this was the debut of your new singer.
Yes, it was amazing. I mean, we did 2 tours with Tarja, one in February, the second in March, and then we did also a headliner tour in Europe in April. It was, for real, I think, 51 shows all over Europe, in every part of Europe, and it was very, very cool. Especially the double tour with Tarja was the biggest tour we ever done in the Temperance history. We reached tons of people every night, from 500 till, I think, 1,200, something like that, every night. It was very, very cool. It was a cool chance for us to play in front of this symphonic fans, because for Tarja, former singer of Nightwish, and it was amazing.
You guys got a festival appearance coming up at the Brainstorm Festival in November. Do you like these bigger festivals, or do you like the sort of intimacy of doing like a tour in clubs?
I mean, it would be a sort of small indoor festival for 400, 500 people. But we are good friends of the owner of this festival. We already played there. And we decided to play just one show just after the release of the album to celebrate this album because, usually back then we used to play some release party in Italy and Europe, just a few shows here and there before a proper tour to celebrate the release of the album. But since this album is a concept album and it's a difficult album, I have to say, we decided to play only one show before the upcoming tour in February in Europe. But then next year there will be tons of stuff in Europe and hopefully also outside of Europe, seems like.
This 2024 tour of Europe, you're opening for the band Serenity. You have sort of a history with the band. You appeared on one of their live DVDs. What is kind of, are you actually in the band Serenity, or were you more like a guest star at Serenity?
No. Now I'm part of the band as well. So in February for me will be a double work.
Is that double in instrumentation? Or are you going to be singing as well?
So with Serenity, I'm just a guitar player and backing vocals, and for sure with Temperance, even more lead vocals. But yes, it will be cool. We'll play for 3 weeks, especially in Germany, but also in UK, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Hungary, Czech Republic. So it will be great.
Do you ever see yourself getting Temperance over to the United States?
Hopefully something will happen in the next year, but let's see. We're talking about tons of options for the next year, not only for US but also for other continents. So let's see what will happen. But I'm quite confident because it seems like this new album is receiving a fantastic feedback everywhere.
I was looking through your discography, your personal discography, and I came up on some releases that would kind of surprised me that you were a part of. You were part of the SHEWOLF project on Frontiers Music with Angel Wolf Black. I believe you had a lot to do with the album, actually.
I mean, we just finished to write the second album. Basically, in SHEWOLF, I'm one of the main songwriters together with Michele, the singer of Temperance.
Are you one of the guys behind the masks in the PR photos as well?
No, I have no time for this. No, sorry.
You're also a member of Virtual Symmetry, fantastic group there. I recently discovered them. You released an album back in 2022. Are you working on another one?
Yes, we're working on it. I mean, during the last year, we toured a lot also with this band. We did a very long tour in Europe with Evergrey for, I think, 35 shows all over Europe. And then we did another run last spring with Threshold from UK, but it was a shorter run, I think 10 shows only. And then we're working on a new album, so hopefully we'll be out next year. Let's see.
Earlier this year, you appeared on the latest Isa Overstein album, Lights of Japan.
Yes.
Are you going to be working on the next album as well?
No, but for that album, I only record the guitars. And honestly, so far, I don't know if I will be part also of the next album because every time depends by the producer. If the producer decides to work with one guitar player or another. And I work, I think, for 3 or 4 different projects for Frontiers in the last years. And with this good friend of mine, Aldo from Secret Sphere, Aldo Nobile, we are working on tons of new other stuff, but as songwriter and not as guitar player.
Secret Sphere, it's been a while since you guys released an album under that name.
I mean, back then I was part of Secret Sphere, but I'm not playing anymore with them since 2017.
But you're still working with the other musician that was in Secret Sphere.
Sure. Some of my best friends are in Secret Sphere.
Okay. Do you have any other music projects that you're working on right now?
As far as I remember, no, no, but it was a very busy year for me. I did tons of different stuff, and also touring-wise, because I think this year, at the end of the year, I will be able to count more than 100 shows over all Europe. I will play in Japan in December, and so not a lot of time for some writing, but next year maybe something more will happen, sure.
Well, those are all the questions I have for you today, Marco. The new Temperance album, Hermitage, DARUMA'S, excuse me, I'll get it right. Hermitage, DARUMA'S Eyes, Part 2, Napalm Records on October 20th. Great album. I wish you the best of luck with it, and thanks for talking to KNAC.com today about it.
Thanks for your time. Have a good day. Ciao.